Hello everyone, and welcome to another game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Andrew, and he's in the Neptune, a tier 9 British cruiser. He's on map Warriors Path in a 3-point domination game. So it's a tier 9 battle, which is lovely. There is no carrier. There is also no radar with, well, wait, there is a radar, there is a Missouri. But, you know, not too much radar. And that's nice, because as a Neptune, he might want to sit in a smoke screen at some point. So there is that. Now the Missouri is here, so far still outside of radar range, and Andrew has found a nice little island, so he is currently in no need of using smokescreen. And for now this is just starting like you would expect in a British cruiser. He's found a nice position, now he is continuing to pew pew. Meanwhile, we have the cars here taking the cap. We have actually quite a nice force here, so they might be able to push. The center is probably going to fall to the enemy because there aren't any friendlies. Well, there is a Le Terrible, but I feel like that Le Terrible is a little bit outnumbered. And on the right side, interestingly enough, we don't have friendly destroyers inside the cap, right? As I said, the enemy team has one radar, right? It's that Missouri. There is nothing else here that would be really detrimental for those destroyers. So we have two Kageros, right? Kageros with good concealment. Why isn't there Kagero in here? There's literally not a single ship stopping them from doing so. But hey. Meanwhile, Andrew here is still having fun with that Missouri. And you know, I mean, the Missouri isn't showing too much broadside, so it's slowly getting whittled down, but it is getting whittled down. And Andrew is now inside his smoke screen here because he had to reverse the island, wasn't enough cover anymore. Now the Missouri could radar him at this point, but the Missouri also couldn't shoot him right now. Now if the Missouri pushes around this island, then he might have to reconsider. He's also, I mean, he's reversing some more here. That comes with certain risk, right? If the Missouri like came around here right now, he's in no position to duck behind his cover quickly. He has cover here, right? But he's a little bit over right now. But the Missouri doesn't want to come around, it looks like, so everything is fine. Now there is a smoke screen here, which means there must be an enemy destroyer. Well, they might have other ships with smoke screens. But it's probably a destroyer, I would assume. Then again, wait, there is an... have you spotted the Abruzzi somewhere? And there are deep water torpedoes, so okay, there is an Asasio around. Now that's not really the biggest threat for Neptune. The thing is, what the friendlies really want to do is push that Missouri, but obviously the battleships might be a little bit afraid of an Asasio. Understandably so. And the Neptune, while Asasio is no threat for Andrew here, he can't really be pushing a Missouri, right? The Neptune doesn't have any sort of measurable armor, and that Missouri will citadel the crap out of him. And he's actually warning in chat that the Missouri radar is running, I suppose. It might be useful information for the Kita cars if the Kita cars decided to get closer here. Meanwhile, we have actually lost a destroyer here on the... oh wait, it's an enemy destroyer that has been destroyed. No, our Kageros are still going strong. Now, the right hand side there is obviously a destroyer's playground, right? There isn't a single ship that can really spot those guys. There's no radar. I mean, even Hydro, right? The Abruzzi doesn't have Hydro. And we have Gneisenau, Scharnhorst, Musashi. None of those ships have with Hydro, right? Or a torpedo boat, this must be heaven over there. Now meanwhile, we have the friendly Pommern who has finally decided to go in and push, which is a good choice. Now of course, as I said before, Asasio is the biggest threat here. And there is a Jarvis here too, by the way. So that means 2 enemy torpedo boats. I think the mine says torpedoes too, but you'd have to be rather close for them. And it looks like the mines is making a run for it. If that Pommern can deal with the Missouri, though, it will open up this whole cap for the Neptune to go hunt some destroyers.
Taken the lead.
Meanwhile, those Kagaros are getting awfully close to those but I mean, they are Kagaros, they might have smoke screens, so maybe they're waiting in the smoke to let the enemy get close enough to, you know, shove some torpedoes in their face. Now, there are some Asasho torps coming, but it looks like the Pommern is dodging them, so that's fine. I mean, Pommern has Hydro, so, you know, he has some warning at least from those sneaky torps. Now, the Kitakaze here is unfortunately going down rather rapidly, and down goes the friendly Kitakaze. The enemy mines, let's hope he can't escape. Andrew is on it, trying to make sure that this mines doesn't... Well, somebody got him. That's good. Now, there is still the Missouri issue, right? The Pommern has decided to come around this way, probably to be a bit more torpedo safe, I guess. There is still an Asasho lurking somewhere. Meanwhile, on the other flank, we've well, the friendly team has managed to lose both Kagaros. You remember me saying that there is no Hydro, no radar, no carrier, no nothing. 2 Kagaros against basically a bunch of battleships, and they managed to get detected and destroyed. Both of them, not just one, both. It's I mean, you know, mistakes can happen, but that's rather shocking. Let's be honest, that's rather shocking, because it just didn't happen to one, it happened to both of them, and I'll try to wrap my brain around what... But no, that there really is no yeah. Like, even the only enemy destroyer that's still alive is on this flank, right? They weren't spotted by a destroyer. So, well, there is that. But, you know, we've also lost the Letariable. I mean, at least the Letariable is more of a gunboat, so you'd be understanding that he was visible. Now, why you'd pick a gunfight with all of those ships around is beyond me, but, you know, at least there is a bit more understanding there, because gunboating is what the Terribles do. But Kagaros? Well... Now, this game is not looking so good, because the mines, I presume, is going down shortly. He's broadside to Musashi. I don't know, with this range, maybe got some torpedoes off, but, you know. So it's 3 against 6. Okay then. I guess this is where this game starts to get truly interesting. Now, Andrew, well, his Hydro is no longer running, but he is trying to push the Asasho. Asasho can't top him, right? I mean, he needs to spot the Asasho first. That's the real issue. The Asasho can stay out of his range forever. But if he fights the Asasho is just dead. Well, I mean, oh, there is the Asasho. What's with destroyers lurking close enough to just, you know, get themselves detected and utterly wrecked? Maybe it's something in the water, right? Now, this Asasho is predictably going down, and there's a close quarters expert for a Neptune. Now, in more problematic news, there is Musashi. And now he's been detected because of the plane. But the Musashi is shooting somebody else, so now there is a window of opportunity. Musashi is going broadside and is relatively low, so he might be able to sink it before it fires again. Also, so far the turrets aren't really turning his way. I mean, the Musashi could one-shot him, but that would require the Musashi to actually try and shoot him, so... Well, I mean, you know... Maybe there is something in the water. And again, I mean, he was shooting Nizumo, and Nizumo is very low health too. Can't just go for Nizumo now, so I mean, okay, that's understandable. Well, understandable or not, the enemy team is unfortunately in the lead, and they are flipping the center, which would give them... Oh, now they're in an even bigger lead. Well, it's 2 against 4. Now the good news is Pommern is very healthy. And, you know, well, Shanos, Gneisenau, Bootsy all have torpedoes, I guess. But so does the Pommern. And, well, where the Pommern excels is brawling. And I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. Now, enter here, it would have been a lot safer if he had smoked first and shot afterwards, because he gave the enemy a free salvo. And a free salvo is sometimes all they need to sink. Keep in mind, British cruisers are very, very vulnerable. They are basically overmatched by everything, so angling won't do shit. But you know, he got away with it. And the good thing is, it made the enemies shoot, so he can now see them despite the smoke screen. Now this Pommern is going to provide spotting, but... oh yeah, the Pommern is already... I think the Pommern might have been behind the island at first, so maybe he wanted them to bait into shooting so he could see them in his smoke still. Actually, they're still shooting his smoke, which is good news for the Pommern, I guess. Now, the torpedoes don't look so great launched against Musashi. But there is still quite a bit of smoke left, and he has torpedoes on the other side. He could try to launch them. And there's still the Pommern, right? Right now, a lot of it depends on the Pommern performance, I feel like. Now, Pommern, as I said, great secondaries, torpedoes, hydro. The Pommern is basically the brawler around. And the Pommern should be right there in its element. Now, the Scharnhorst is going down. Pommern obviously has to be aware that there might be torpedoes coming from the Scharnhorst. Not sure how close the Pommern was there. And I don't see like a hydro here. Like if the Pommern was using hydro, you should see him activated in chat, I guess. Well, that's probably why he ate the torpedo there. I don't know, like, I haven't paid much attention to chat. Like, did he use hydro earlier? Is it on cooldown? Well, anyway. The Pommern's still floating, and he is now pushing towards the Gneisenau and the Musashi. He has torpedoes off against that Musashi. He's also showing an awful lot of broadside towards it. I mean, he's kind of pushing into crossfire here, which is not ideal. He should be angled a little bit more towards the Musashi, I feel like. I mean, the approach isn't going to be the biggest issue if he shows broadside towards it. Now, here is where it becomes really dicey, because the smoke just ran out. Now, the boots is showing broadside, so Andrew has decided that's his main target. He could have just stayed on the Gneisenau too, because the Gneisenau is so very low. Yeah, he's switching back to that. And the Gneisenau has some bigger guns, so taking those out might be very helpful for a poor little Neptune. Not that, you know, it's not like he's safe from a Brutium, obviously. Well, and it looks like an enemy unleashed the Kraken. And also, Andrew is now the last hope. Well, it's 1 against 2. Yeah, Brutzi isn't here right now. The Musashi, though, is very, very close. So this comes down to torpedoes. Now, the Musashi can basically overmatch the Neptune. A lot. So, it's down to RNG. Unless he can... oh no, he can't ambush it. Like, if he could have gotten torpedoes off before the Musashi comes around or something, like maybe hydro it around the island, but there was no time for anything like that. So now it's in RNG's hand, and RNG let him live. Now he has an opportunity to do the Musashi here. Problem is, the Musashi might just reload before those torpedoes hit, and the next salvo he might not be as lucky. Now the third traverse of a Musashi is bad, but no, he can't outrun it. And what was that? Well, okay then. So that was not quite what I was expecting, but that's one dead Musashi. But now comes the true heartbreaking problem here. The enemy team has a lead. and the enemy team has more camps. And the enemy team has an alive Abruzzi. Now, as a British cruiser, you don't have, well, as a British light cruiser, you don't have access to high explosive. Which means if the enemy ship angles, this is going to take a very long time to sink him, unless he gets torpedoes in, right? So all this enemy ship has to do, all the enemy cruiser has to do, is just angle and sail away. Sails away, he can't really be torpedoed. If he angles, armor piercing isn't going to do much. And it's like even worse because like the enemy team has the points, right? I mean, the Abruzzi would be expected to win a gun duel. Sap is not very kind to British light cruisers, generally. If he just sails away and interrupts the Neptune while Neptune tries to camp, he wins. I'm not even sure how much interrupting he has to do, right? The enemy team has a sleeve of about 100 points. And it takes a while to flip the camp. And wait, what? So while I'm too busy explaining how it's impossible to win, the enemy chose the one strategy. It's not really a strategy, it's just going full broadside. Yeah, Abruzzi is just going full broadside to an Neptune. Never mind then, this is a win. Which brings us to the results, and Andrew earned himself a Confederate, a Kraken, a devastating strike, a close quarters expert, and a high caliber, scoring 288,000 points of damage, sinking 5 enemies, and carrying this team pretty hard, I suppose. Well, I mean, some credit goes to, you know, the enemy there, because if this Abruzzi hadn't cooperated, this would have been a defeat. So, you know, that's appreciated. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.